Welcome, restless souls, to Carman's Crypt. I'm Carman Carrion, keeper of forgotten tales and curator of nightmares. You've wandered into my domain, where each week I unearth a fresh horror from the depths of human imagination. In these darkened halls, stories wait like hungry shadows. Each tale we've collected whispers of terrors both ancient and new. From crumbling mansions where something skitters behind the walls, to that strange text message you received at 3 a.m. from a number that shouldn't exist. So gather close. The candles are lit, the shadows grow long, and the witching hour is upon us. Are you prepared to face what lurks in the darkest recesses of Carman's Crypt? Lock your doors, still your nerves, and remember, here, every fear comes to life. This is Carman's Crypt. Your sanctuary of scares awaits. Hey dude, you have to promise you won't think I'm crazy when I tell you this story. Like, seriously, promise. Because I know how it sounds, and 6 months ago I would have laughed at someone telling me the same thing. But I swear on my mom's life, every word of this actually happened. You know how everyone's always posting those perfect nature shots on Instagram? The golden hour lighting, the misty forest paths, all that aesthetic stuff that gets a million likes? Well, here in Bella Vista, where we've got like 100 miles of world-class mountain bike trails threading through the Ozark hills, there's this one section where people are getting way more than they bargained for in their photos. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. See, living in Bella Vista, bicycling isn't just something you do on weekends. It's basically a religion. We've got the Back 40, Little Sugar, Blowing Springs, all these epic trail systems that people drive from across the country to ride. The trails here are so good that we're literally on the map as one of the top mountain biking destinations in America. So when I say everyone bikes here, I mean everyone. Your neighbor, your teacher, that kid from chemistry class, the guy who works at the grocery store. They all have $3,000 bikes and know the difference between flow trails and technical single track. Which is why what happened on the old Riverside Connector Trail is so weird. This isn't some random path through the woods. This is part of our world-renowned trail network. It connects the Back 40 system to the Greenway, winds through deep hardwood forest with limestone bluffs and creek crossings, the kind of terrain that makes Northwest Arkansas famous among mountain bikers. But here's the thing nobody talks about. The thing you only find out if you spend way too much time scrolling through people's trail pics like I do when I can't sleep. There's always someone else in the photos. Someone who shouldn't be there. Someone who's been dead for 70 years. And before you roll your eyes and click away, just keep listening, okay? Because after what happened to my cousin James, and then Anna, and then all of us that one foggy Saturday morning, I'm pretty sure this thing, whatever it is, isn't done yet. It's still out there, still showing up in people's photos, still trying to tell us something. And honestly, I think we need to listen. It started about 2 months ago when my cousin James posted this sick photo on his Instagram. He had been hitting the trail every morning before work, trying to get in shape or whatever, and he always posted these aesthetic shots of the sunrise through the trees. This one photo, though, it was different. In the background, way back near this old wooden bridge, there was this person on a bike, just standing there straddling this ancient-looking bicycle. It was hard to make out details because of the lighting, but something about it felt off. The bike looked wrong somehow. Too tall, too old-fashioned, like something from a museum. James didn't even notice it at first. I only saw it because I was zooming in on the photo to see if I could spot the hawk's nest he had been talking about. When I pointed it out to him, he was like, "Weird, I didn't see anyone else on the trail that morning." But here's where it gets creepy. James kept posting photos from his rides, and the person was in every single one. Every single one. And they were getting closer. At first, it was just a distant figure by the bridge. Then they were near the big oak tree that's about a quarter-mile closer. Then by the creek crossing. Then near the bench at the halfway point. Each photo, the figure was in a new spot, always closer to wherever James was taking the picture from. The really messed up part, the bike never changed. It was always the same vintage-looking thing, dark colored with a basket on the front and those old-style curved handlebars. And the person was always just standing there, never riding, never moving, just straddling the bike like they were waiting for something. James started to freak out. He had looked behind him while he was riding, but he never saw anyone. The trail would be completely empty, but then he'd get home, post his photo, and there they'd be again, closer than before. Maybe it's just a coincidence, I told him. Maybe it's some old guy who bikes the trail at the same time you do, and he's just taking breaks when you snap your pics. But James wasn't buying it. He started paying more attention, taking multiple photos from the same spot, looking over his shoulder constantly. The person was only ever in one photo at a time, and always in a different position than where James had looked. Then Anna, this girl from school, started posting photos from the same trail. She had gotten into mountain biking over the summer and was documenting her progress. Guess what showed up in her photos? Same figure, same bike. But here's the thing. Anna usually biked in the evenings after her shift at the ice cream place, and James biked in the mornings. There was no way it was the same person just hanging out on the trail for 12 hours a day. Word started getting around our friend group. Mike, who's super into photography, decided to investigate. He spent a whole Saturday on the trail, taking pictures every few minutes, trying to catch this mysterious biker in action. The results were insane. In Mike's photos, the figure appeared in 17 different locations along the 3-mile trail. 17. But here's the impossible part. Some of the photos were taken just minutes apart from spots that were like half a mile away from each other. No one could move that fast, especially not on an old bike through those woods. Mike tried to zoom in on the clearest photo, the one where the figure was closest. He enhanced it on his laptop and printed it out to show us. We all gathered at his house that night to look at it, and honestly, I wish we hadn't. The bike was definitely vintage. We're talking 1940s or 1950s style. Heavy frame, wide tires, that old-fashioned design. But it was the person that really got to us. Tall, thin, wearing what looked like old-fashioned clothes. Dark pants, white shirt, suspenders maybe, and a cap or hat of some kind. But the face was wrong. Too shadowy. Even in the daylight photos. Like there were features there, but they were all blurred or faded somehow. It's probably just the camera quality, Sophia said, but her voice was shaking a little, or the distance or motion blur or something. That's when Mike pulled up something else on his laptop. He had been researching the trail's history online, trying to figure out who this could be. What he found made all of us go quiet. Back in 1952, there was this accident on what used to be called Miller's Creek Road, the same path where the bike trail runs now. A teenager named Thomas Henley was riding his bicycle to his job at the old paper mill. It was early morning, foggy, and a delivery truck didn't see him coming around the bend near the wooden bridge. Thomas was 17. He had just graduated high school and was working to save money for college. He rode the same route every morning on his father's old Schwinn bicycle, a dark blue 1948 model with a front basket and curved handlebars. The accident happened right where James first spotted the figure in his photos. We found Thomas's obituary in the local newspaper archives. There was even a photo of him standing next to his bike in his family's driveway. Same bike, same clothes, same cap. "Guys, this is just a coincidence," Anna said, but she had gone pale. "People die in accidents all the time. It doesn't mean..." That's when Mike showed us the forum post he had found. Apparently, we weren't the first people to notice the mysterious biker. Someone had started a thread about it on a local hiking and biking forum about a year ago. Dozens of people had posted about seeing the same figure in their trail photos. But here's the part that made my blood run cold. People who biked alone on the trail reported hearing things. Old-fashioned bicycle bells ringing in the woods. The sound of tires on gravel behind them when they stopped to rest. But no one was there when they turned around. One person wrote about hearing heavy breathing right next to their ear while they were fixing a flat tire near the creek crossing. But the worst part was from someone called Trailrider_2019. They wrote, "I've been biking the Riverside Trail alone for 3 years. Last month, I started hearing the bell behind me every time I rode. Always the same pattern. 3 short rings, pause, 3 short rings. I thought maybe there was another biker who was just being polite, letting me know they wanted to pass. But when I'd pull over and wait, no one would come by. Last week I was taking a break at the halfway bench when I heard the bell right behind me. I turned around and saw him for the first time with my own eyes, not just in photos. He was maybe 20 feet away, straddling that old bike, staring right at me. I couldn't make out his face clearly, but I could tell he was young, maybe my age when I was in high school. He was wearing clothes that looked like they were from my grandfather's era. We stared at each other for what felt like forever, and then he raised his hand and pointed at something behind me. I turned to look, and when I turned back, he was gone. But I heard the bell ringing as it faded into the distance, getting fainter and fainter until it disappeared completely. I don't bike that trail alone anymore. When I go with friends, he still shows up in photos, but I never hear the bell when other people are around. It's like he only wants to communicate with people who are by themselves. I think he's trying to warn people about something. The spot where he pointed to was right where the old road used to curve, where his accident happened. Maybe he doesn't want anyone else to get hurt the way he did." After reading that, we all kind of sat there in silence for a while. Finally, James spoke up. "I'm going to stop biking in the mornings," he said quietly. "This is too weird." But Anna, who's always been braver than the rest of us, had a different idea. "What if we all go together?" she suggested. "Like a group ride. If he only appears to people who are alone, maybe we'll be safe. And maybe we could figure out what he wants." Looking back, that was probably a mistake. We planned the group ride for the following Saturday morning. 6 of us. Me, James, Anna, Mike, Sophia, and this guy Dylan from our physics class who'd heard about the whole thing and wanted to see for himself. We met at the trail entrance at 8 a.m., right around the time James usually rode alone. The morning was foggy, which should have been our first warning sign. The fog wasn't unusual for late summer mornings, but it was thicker than normal, making the woods feel closed in and mysterious. For the first mile, everything seemed normal. We rode together, talking and joking around, taking pictures of each other and the scenery. The photos looked normal too, just 6 friends having fun on their bikes. But as we got closer to the wooden bridge where Thomas had his accident, things started to feel different. The fog got thicker, and it became harder to stay together as a group. Dylan fell behind because his bike chain was making noise, and Sophia had to stop to retie her shoes. That's when we heard it. Three short rings of a bicycle bell echoing through the fog behind us. We all stopped and looked back. but the fog was too thick to see more than about 10 feet. "Hello?" Anna called out. "Is someone there?" The only answer was another series of bell rings, closer this time. In the viewfinder, he could see farther than we could with our eyes, and that's when he saw him. Thomas was about 30 feet behind us, just visible through the fog. He was standing next to his bike, not straddling it this time, and he was pointing again. But he wasn't pointing at the bridge or the accident site. He was pointing at Dylan, who was still struggling with his bike chain, separated from the rest of our group. "Dylan!" I shouted. "Get over here now!" But as Dylan started walking his bike toward us, we heard something else coming through the fog. The rumble of an engine getting louder and fast. A truck, moving way too fast for the narrow maintenance road that ran parallel to the trail. The same road where Thomas had been hit 70 years ago. Dylan looked up just as the delivery truck burst out of the fog, taking the curve at dangerous speed, just like in 1952. The driver was looking down at something in his lap, probably his phone. If Dylan had still been working on his bike in that exact spot, if Thomas hadn't pointed him out, if we hadn't called him over. The truck roared past, disappearing back into the fog, leaving us all shaking and staring at the spot where Dylan had been standing just seconds before. When we looked back toward where we'd seen Thomas, he was gone, but Mike's phone had captured one final photo. In the picture, Thomas was smiling. For the first time in any of the photos any of us had taken, his face was clear and visible. He looked exactly like he did in his 1952 graduation photo. Young, hopeful, relieved. And behind him, barely visible in the fog, were dozens of other figures on bikes. Old bikes, new bikes, all different eras, all watching, all waiting, all ready to warn the next person who might need their help. We don't bike the Riverside Trail anymore. Not because we're scared of Thomas, we're not. We understand now that he's trying to help, trying to prevent other accidents like the one that killed him. But here's the thing that really gets me. After we posted about our experience on that same forum, other people started sharing their stories. Turns out the Riverside Trail has been the site of dozens of accidents over the years. Bikes, cars, even some hikers who got lost and fell into the creek. And for every accident, there's been at least one person who reported seeing figures in their photos, or hearing warning sounds, or getting that strange feeling that made them stop or move, or take a different path just in time to avoid disaster. The trail isn't haunted, it's protected. Thomas and all the others who died there, they're not trying to scare people away. They're trying to keep us safe. They're standing guard, watching out for anyone who might meet the same fate they did. But they can only do so much. They can ring their bells, appear in photos, point out danger when they see it coming. The rest is up to us. So if you ever decide to bike the Riverside Trail, and honestly, it's still a beautiful trail, don't let this story scare you away from it completely. Just remember a few things. Don't go alone. Thomas and the others seem to have an easier time helping people when they're in groups. Pay attention to your surroundings. If you hear a bell ringing and you don't see another biker, stop and look around carefully. And if you see an old-fashioned bicycle in your photos, or a figure pointing at something, don't ignore it. They're trying to tell you something important. Most importantly, respect what happened there. These aren't just ghost stories or urban legends. Real people died on that trail. And somehow, they're still looking out for the rest of us. That's got to count for something, right? James still posts photos from his morning bike rides, but he sticks to other trails now. Sometimes, though, he'll scroll back through his old Instagram posts and look at those pictures of Thomas getting closer and closer. I think he was just trying to get our attention. James said the last time we talked about it. Like, he was trying to tell us about the danger, but we had to notice him first before he could help. Maybe that's true. Maybe Thomas spent months appearing in our photos, getting closer each time, hoping that someone would finally see him and understand what he was trying to say. And you know what? I'm glad we figured it out when we did, because now, whenever I see stories online about mysterious figures in photos, or unexplained sounds in the woods, or people getting strange feelings that save them from accidents, I think about Thomas and wonder if there are other guardians out there, other people who choose to stay behind and help instead of moving on. I hope there are, because even though it's scary to think about ghosts and spirits and people who died before their time, it's also kind of comforting to know that someone's still looking out for us, even if we can only see them in the background of our photos, getting closer one picture at a time, trying to tell us something important before it's too late. So next time you're looking through photos from a hike or a bike ride, take a closer look at the background. You never know who might be trying to get your attention. And if you see them, don't be afraid. Just listen to what they're trying to tell you. Your life might depend on it. And so, dear listeners, we emerge from another dark corner of Carman's crypt. But remember, the horrors you've heard tonight are merely echoes of the terrors that await in the shadows of your own mind. If you enjoyed your stay in the crypt, why not invite a friend to join us next week? After all, fear is best when shared. Leave a review if you dare, or share your own tales of terror on my social media. Who knows, your nightmares might just become my next story. Until next time, keep checking under your bed. And remember, in Carman's crypt, every fear comes alive, and no one is truly safe. Sweet dreams, if you can still sleep at all.